So today, the topic is cracks in the canvas. So it's a very beautiful thought, we all go in a very beautiful zone that the canvas, it automatically cracks at some place and then suddenly the value of that painting, it goes from millions to billions and all of that. Once I was in this very beautiful museum in Ahmedabad called Calico, where they don't even turn the lights on for more than a minute. So if you have to see that fabric artwork, you have to see it within like 20-30 seconds because they say that the light, it will damage the fabric, the threads, the color, and all of that. So one important thing to remember when we talk about cracks in the canvas, we talk about protected canvas. They are protected, they are into air-conditioned rooms, they are into glass cubicles, whatever, everything is controlled. But we are also canvases. Right? Our societies are also like a canvas. They also crack once in a while, or I think always cracked, sometimes so cracked that you ask the question, where is the canvas? So it all happens, but yet everything goes on. Right? So I'm actually going to talk about cracks in our society. How cracks in the society create space. So have you observed when a canvas cracks, there is a new space which is unclaimed and which is unconditioned. It's not colored, it's not fabric, it's a void. Anyone can claim it, anyone can take it. And we have remarkable people doing this for centuries, everywhere in the world. Okay, I'm not talking about India and it happens only in India kind of a thing. Everywhere in the world, fantastic people come up in those cracks, in those gaps, and they decide what to do with it. Whether to stitch it, whether to build something in it, whether to bind it back together. So today I'm going to talk primarily about such stories which I could experience firsthand. So before that, some very simple things about cracks. They are nothing special, they are nothing extraordinary. They are not worth preserving also, they are not worth condemning or hiding also. They are simply plain facts of our life. Sometimes these cracks are handed down to us by factors we cannot control and we have to live with them. Sometimes we create them out of our own ego, out of our own madness, and then later we regret it. So many things, but the thing is that they are just facts of our life and we have to live with them. Secondly, every single canvas is cracked. So no matter, someone is happy, smiling, crying, whatever it is, that person has some cracks at the back of it. And it's very beautiful to see what the person can do in spite of those cracks. And by accepting those cracks and by working around those cracks. So this is going to be the theme of what I'm going to talk about. So the first example that I have for you, anybody can recognize? There is a name written over there, but still. His name is Pandit Kumar Gandharva. He is my guru's guru. I was fortunate to learn from one of the senior most disciples of Kumarji for a considerable amount of time. He was a child prodigy at the age of 12. So all the Maharajas in the country at that time, they would invite him to their palaces. And then they would give him badges. So by the time he was 14 years old, his kurta got filled with all the badges. So he had to get a new one. Such a prolific musician, talented musician, prodigious musician. In his early 20s, 30s, somewhere at that point, he got diagnosed with tuberculosis. And at that time, it was not treatable. There was no medicine for TB. If you had it, you had to die with it. So doctor said you have to leave Mumbai because Mumbai has humid weather. So go to some dry place. He goes to a place called Devas in Madhya Pradesh. During course of time, they had to puncture one of his lungs because it got infection. So imagine a singer who has been singing all his life, like started singing even before he could remember things, at age of 5 and 4. Bedridden, he was not even allowed to hum, at a point. What did he do? It was a crack in his life. And life gave that crack, No one had asked for it. It just came. So what did he do with that crack? He was listening. Because we always say the first step to be a good singer or a good communicator is to be a good listener. So he started listening. There were beggars roaming around who were actually Nathpanthi monks and yogis traveling. He started listening to their music, their tunes. He started thinking about composing something in those tunes. He got introduced to Kabir and Kabir's language, Kabir's words. He started composing that. One day, a friend came to visit him. So he was trying to talk to this friend. His voice was already gone, just one lung left. And there was a tiny little sparrow sitting on the window grill. It was chirping in such a high pitch that Kumarji was not able to hear what his friend was saying. So he said, the tiny bird with a tiny lung can create so much of sound and music. I still have my one lung. I will change my singing, I will change my style, I will change my expression, but I will sing again. So he started singing again, and at one point, he became known for his speciality, which was using small, short phrases. That's a power, like when I do communication consulting, one thing that I follow is I write small and short sentences. Because that's your ability to break down things into shorter pieces, which are consistent with each other. He did that in music, and that became his identity. So the point is that cracks are there. They will come. Maybe they are not there today, tomorrow they will come. They might disappear also, whatever. But we have to live with those cracks. And now, since we have heard a lot about cracks in the personal space and resilience, I want to talk about how all of this happens on a large scale. How cracks impact our societies over hundreds and hundreds of years. And I'm taking Kabir as an example. Okay? So, if you look at Kabir, he was actually cracked on so many fronts that we cannot even count. He would have had a very, very high amount of identity crisis because no one knows where he came from. There are so many different stories. He was abandoned by his mother, someone picked him up, he raised him, whatever, all of that. So, a very basic identity crisis. Secondly, when Kabir was there in 14th centuries, what is commonly believed, our society was actually a fabric which was being torn apart, in hundreds of directions. And every single sect was pulling it apart, saying, we are right, we are right, we are right. So Kabir actually followed some of them. So if you see, the beautiful thing about Kabir is, every religion would say he belongs to us. That's the beauty of him. Hindus will say he belongs to us. Muslims will say, Sikhs also sing him. In Maharashtra, Warkaris also sing him. Everywhere you go, Sufis also sing Kabir. So everyone thinks he's our. How did he do it? So, interestingly, Kabir was a weaver by profession. And that is a job of a weaver. He brings different threads together to weave a beautiful canvas. And that's what actually Kabir did with our society at that point of time. He acknowledged every thread that was there, and he just pointed out what were similarities in every thread. And just by doing that, he could weave a beautiful fabric which is continuing even till today. There are people who still sing Kabir, who perform Kabir, who talk about Kabir, who believe in Kabir and his message of unity and oneness. So we are going to see how an illiterate person could do it. Kabir himself says, Masi kagat chuo nahi kalam gaho nahi haath, charo juga ke mahatam Kabira mukha hi janai baat. He says, I didn't touch a paper, I didn't pick up a pen in my hand, but I can tell the truth of all the four yug, charo yug, just through my language and my vani. From where did he get this confidence? So if we look at Kabir's work, he identified cracks at 3 levels. And all of his work we can arrange in these 3 buckets. The first bucket is the separation that we create. We say, that I am a separate person, I am a separate identity. Kabir says that the moment you separate yourself out, you are actually detaching you from oneness that we all have in common with among all of us. And then he says, once you separate yourself, you become thirsty. You become thirsty like a fish in water. And that's why he says, Pani mein meen pyasi, muhe sun suna aave hasi. So he says that whatever you need, you have it. There are so many beautiful people around you. You separate yourself. You say, no, I'm someone different. Then you say, but now I don't have peace of mind. Then you go here and there looking for that peace. Kabir says, why do that? Just stop and see whatever you are seeking, it's all around you. Whatever we can give different names, that doesn't matter. But the thing is, it all is here. Whatever we have to do, it all is here. Whatever impact we have to create, whatever reflection. And many people have said this, like even a scholar, philosopher like J. Krishnamurti has said that your relationship is a mirror in which you see who you really are. That's what he is saying. You have to be in the community, in the people, and then you will know who you really are. But the moment we put our ego on top of others, we create the separation. And that's why if you see, every saint has attacked ego. It's not like they rejected this idea of ego. So one more important thing to understand here is that evolution happens not by rejecting and accepting, but by transcending and including. I'll give you an example. If you talk to any neurologist, he would say that, your brain has a reptilian brain, then a limbic brain, then a cognitive brain. So when cognitive brain came, it did not replace our limbic brain. It is still there. So we can choose to act from our limbic or reptilian brain, or we can choose to act from our cognitive brain. We have the choice. What do we have to act? And someone spoke about, that fight, flight, freeze, faint, and all those 4 responses. They are typically the reptilian responses. We still have them. So Kabir says that what you have to do is you have to first understand you have everything within you. So he says, Isaghata antara baga bagiche, isi mein navlakha tara. Whatever tool, machinery you need to live a good life, it's all in this pot. Once you know what is in this pot, only then you can behave correctly with the society. So that is the first crack which Kabir says. And to emphasize that, he says, Saheb so sab hota hai, bande se kachu nahi, rai so parvat kare, parvata rai mahi. So his attitude is, I am not taking credit for anything that even I am doing. I know I am doing, but I am not taking credit for it. He says that's the attitude that you need for that separation to not come into your personality. Now the second crack. Once I separate myself, then I start comparing. Then I would say, do I have more or you have more? How come you have more? Why can't I have more? So all these things will start happening. So we strengthen our boundaries. We strengthen our fortresses. We further isolate ourselves. And he beautifully says, Man aisa nirmal bhaya jaise Ganga neer, piche piche hari fire kahat Kabir Kabir. So he is addressing the society that why are you running behind some external objective? It's all within you. Make yourself such a good person that that objective will come behind you saying, ki, I want to meet you. It was very bold saying this at that time in the society, and yet he did it. And it's commendable. And he did it to bridge the gaps in the society. He did it very boldly, and he had to face some troubles for it, which he happily did. That's not a problem, but he stood with what he believed. And after this whole separation and isolation, the third inevitable thing that is going to happen is accumulation. We'll start getting as much as we want, because this insecurity will not let us rest. It will still say, no, you need more, you want more, more is required. So Kabir says, he gives very good examples everywhere. He says, Jo jal baadhe naav mein, ghar mein baadhe daam, dono haath ulichiye, yahi sayano kam. So he says, if you are going in a boat and suddenly water starts accumulating in your boat, what will you do? You'll throw the water. You won't say, it's my water, I want more of it and I want to hold to it. You'll throw it out. Kabir says, do same with the resources that you have. Keep sharing, otherwise they will sink you down one day. So this is in short the message which he gave. And now I would come to my concluding point, that what has been the mechanism of various saints. Kabir is just one of them. We have such saints in every religion, every sect, everywhere in this country and in other countries also. There are three very essential things. One is you need a prototype. The living prototype, as Buddha said, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. So the living prototype is Buddha. The person who has actually done it. You need someone to see it, right? To believe it. That is one thing. The second piece of puzzle is a community. You need at least 15, 20, 30 people who believe and who behave by that rule. Otherwise, no one will believe in it. No one will see the goodness of it. And they say, the proof of the pudding is in eating. So that community becomes the pudding, which other people eat and they say, yes, this is something good. I want to do this myself also. And third thing is the doctrine, is the set of rules. And interestingly, in society, you don't get all the three every time. Sometimes it will happen that you just have a book and you have to decipher it. That has happened. Sometimes it will happen that there is no living master, there is no book. But those practices will be embedded in community through forms of our customs and rituals. Then you will have to decipher it from them and then you will realize, oh, that's why we are doing this. The point is, this is the 3-point mechanism which is being followed over hundreds and hundreds of years to ensure that these messages go down uninterrupted for centuries. Today we are 6 centuries after Kabir, yet we remember his words and we practice his words. So that's it from my side. I'm almost hitting my 18 minutes. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me. I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you.